Welcome to the Accessibility Guide channel. My name is Sean Jordison, and today we're doing episode 19 of Making College PDFs Accessible. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at Pasadena City College, or PCC. All right, the very first thing I'm going to do is go to their website, pasadena.edu, and then using the Find button, we're going to try to find our first document. I'm going to type in .pdf and select Next. Now, every time I do this, it's always the catalog, and I don't want to do a catalog. It's just too long to do in a video. Quarterly budget and expenditure reporting. That sounds so fun. How about an executive summary? Oh yeah, here we go. Whole bunch of tables, bunch of lists. This is a good one. Let's download it. All right, we downloaded that PDF. Now let's open it up in Adobe Acrobat. And the very first step that we're going to do is check the tags panel to determine whether or not there are any tags in this document. To do that, I'm going to select the tags button from the bottom right corner of my specific Adobe Acrobat. I have the newest version. It's possible your tags panel is over on the left. Now, this is a good start. We do have tags in the document. So step 2 is to walk the tags tree, and we're going to just determine that everything that we want to be tagged is in fact tagged, and anything that we don't want to be tagged has been removed. So let's walk the tags tree. I'm simply using the down arrow on my keyboard, and I'm walking through each one of the table rows just to make sure that everything is in there appropriately. So far, it looks good. We have a couple of spots that we're gonna have to do a reference and or a footnote. That should be fun. We've got some random callouts, lots of text, there's a hyperlink, lists. Okay, so this is actually looking pretty good. We're gonna check how it was made. So we're gonna go to the menu button and then select document properties. And then if we select description, okay, cool, this looks like it came out of Word 2013. All right, so step 3 of the accessibility guide method for tagging a PDF. Now we're gonna fix the tag structure. And to do that, we're gonna start with making sure everything is housed under a document tag. So I'm gonna press F2 on the tag I wanna change, and I'm simply typing the word document in. Now the next thing that we have is some text with some paths in here. The path containers can be pretty annoying, so let's see if we can get them out. Sometimes the best way to do this is to just highlight the text. So I'm going to highlight the text, and then under the options button, I'm going to select create tag from selection. And what that does is it will separate all the paths out. Now, the containers look kind of funny, but they will read just fine. So just because they are kind of broken up like this, it doesn't really mean anything because they're all housed under the P tag. However, we do have these path tags, and you never want to hit delete. So we're gonna right click them, select change tag to artifact. Under artifact type for page, we're gonna select OK. And now we got that piece out. Now we're gonna do the same thing here for the second part. I'm going to select the P tag. We're then going to select the text using our mouse, go to the options button, select create tag from selection, and that will separate the path element out. We can right click it, change tag to artifact, and select OK. And it looks like there was a couple other little markups down there. I'm going to hold my control key and select both of them, right click, change the tag to artifact. Sometimes the spacing can get weird in here. And then I'm actually gonna take all of these container elements and select Control X on my keyboard, and we are going to paste them under the other P tag. Then we can select the F2 key, and I'm going to change it from a P tag to an H1 tag. I said going strangely there. All right, let's go ahead and keep walking this tags tree. Now we have some blank containers in here, or I guess some spaces that were tagged. So I just like to expand the menu, select those blank containers, right click them, and change them to an artifact. Now sometimes this starts to take like a bit of time, but I don't know. All right, now we're inside the table. I actually accidentally skipped over this text here, 2017 and 19 goals. We're gonna change this to a heading level 2 tag, paragraph tag. All right, and then we've got our tables, and we've got TD cells, There are a lot of span tags in here, or paths and stuff. I'm gonna open up the content panel and let's just see if I can actually delete some of this. Here's a bunch of paths. Okay, so we can just like select all of them in the content panel, right click and create artifact. And I think if we keep doing that, oh my gosh, there are these paths for every one of those table elements. So I guess let's just keep doing this. All right, we're gonna try this other method. Since the containers all have the paths and we can kind of see them, I'm going to hold my control key and scroll. And I'm selecting all of these path elements and they're all being selected at once. I'm going to right click them and create artifacts. And that will remove them and hopefully make the tagging just a little bit more simple. We are gonna have to do the same thing on the next page. So I'm selecting all of these path container elements and I'm kind of paying attention visually to make sure that I'm not accidentally selecting text. All right, keep holding the control key and selecting all of these. There is probably a better way to do this, but this is the way that I do it. And that's just the truth. All right, so many path elements. Okay, then we right click and select create artifact. We'll do page. And now let's go back to the tags panel and we can sort of start to hopefully fix our table. Did I not get page 1? Let's go back to the content panel. Aha, I did not get all of the paths. So many paths. Apparently I missed page 1. Right click. All right, let's go back to the tags panel now. And this top row actually needs to be table headers. So I can select each one of these TD cells, right click them, select properties, and change the drop down from table data cell to table header cell and select close. Then we can move on to the next row. And we have our TD cells for table data, and everything looks pretty good. We've got a list item over here that has 3 list items. That's great. Okay, so this table is laid out a little strange. What we're gonna do, and there's blank containers in here. All right, so this table row that has access, and then it has African Americans, whites, and unknown. This access word here, this is actually the header for all 6 of these rows. So this table is like kind of laid out funny. So what we need to do is make sure that all of this content is inside. Okay, so it appears that this table really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we're gonna have to really tackle it sort of from scratch. And I just want to take a second to level set. So let's take a look at what we have. And then what we're going to do is move some of the pieces to where they go. So a table row has table data cell, and then it should be African Americans, and then it should be 3.3%. That's what should be in here. So we're gonna change this to TH, and then we need to get whites and unknown race ethnicity out of that content. And then we also need to get 26% and 5% out also. Then we need to actually clean up this list tag because it's no longer going to be a list tag. And so I need to change it to a P tag and get rid of some of those other elements. So now inside the row, I actually need to delete that content out of the row. And now we have a clear row. We have table header and then the data and data. And now we can move this other content into the table row. But first we're gonna need to do a new tag and do TD, right click, new tag, TD, right click, new tag, and TD. And we're gonna move all of that content under the table row. And then we can begin to move some of this content to the right location. And I'm gonna rename this L body tag to a P tag, and we're gonna drag it to that TD cell. So now what we've done is built one row, our second row, and now we need to build our third row. In this case, it will be this one. We'll right click it, create a new TD cell, right click again, create another TD, right click again, create another TD, and let's move this content into the right location. We'll put that into the TD. We need to rename this L body to a P tag, and let's move it to the right location. And I actually moved that other P tag into the wrong location. Let's delete out some of this extra stuff. And I'm going to select these 3 TD tags and put them inside of our table row tag. And now our table row is mostly set up. So we have this one, this row, the 3rd row, and now we need to set up 4, 5, 6, and 7. And let's go ahead and keep going here. So the next one that I have is going to be this blank cell that we need to move into the next table row. We'll right click, select new tag, create TD, and we need another TD. And really what we're doing is just kind of manually building this table. It is a bit painstaking in this regard, but it is important. And this is another blank P tag. All right, so this table row is now complete, and we've got another one we need to do. And we're gonna right click, select new tag, and we need 3 new TD cells. Right click TD, right click new tag TD, and we'll move all 3 of those into the next table row. And then we can look at, I believe it's online, we can move it to the right location. It's actually the 2nd cell, not that first one. And then let's find the 12%. Expand it out, we will cut, and we will paste child, and then we will right click the tag, select properties, and change it to a paragraph tag. So all I'm doing is reconstructing the table row structure here. We've got 2 more to go. Let's right click new tag TR, select OK, right click new tag TD, and we need 3 TDs. We can move all 3 of those into that table row tag, that TR tag. And next up is face to face. We will move it into the 2nd container element because that first one's blank. And then let's take the next one. We need to find that list item, which is going to be 9.1. And we're going to cut it and right click on that final TD, paste child. We need to change the L body tag to a P tag. And there's the next table row. And then in theory, our hybrid row should mostly be set up. It's a little bit out of order. Let's right click new tag, select TD. And that first TD actually shouldn't have anything in it. That's this cell right here. So there's nothing in that cell, so it shouldn't be there either. And then this second thing, we shouldn't have a list item. We're going to Control X, Control V, delete the L tag, and change the L body to a P tag. And now we're going to save the file because we just did a lot of work. And this is only for really this like first row. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to open up my prepare for accessibility option. I'm then going to select fix reading order, then right click the table and select table editor. Now from access, I'm going to right click it, select table cell properties, and we're going to change this header cell to be the scope of row. And how many row spans do we want it to go? We want it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We want 7 row span. And then select OK. Select yes. And now we can actually go ahead and save the file and let's test it in pack just to see like where we are. Because we did a lot of work right there. We kind of want to spot check it just to make sure that we're on the right track here. Now there's going to be a ton of errors, but let's do results in detail. And I think we're looking for structure tree, and then we're looking for our table tag. Let's see, tables, table irregularity. All right, so now it's saying that we have irregular table rows, and it could be because I have that that blank TD cell in there. So let's see if we delete that from each one of these, if that will do anything. So I'm going to delete that first TD out of each row. Whenever there's a blank space, we're gonna open it up all the way and then change tag to artifact, select OK. We're gonna delete that TD. Again, we're deleting the first TD out of each one of those rows, and then we're gonna test it again. And let's see if we have that same problem. All right, now we can open up the results in detail. Let's look up our structure elements, tables, table irregularity. All right, and these are actually in a different table. So this is a good sign. And then our table header cells are missing. So we actually did the right thing. Let's go back to the PDF. And so just to summarize, we made access a table row heading for all of these rows. And then let's go back to this blank cell right here for African Americans. And we're going to, in this cell for the P tag, we're gonna right click it, select properties. And for the actual text, we're gonna put no data and then select close. And that should be fine. Now we get to do the fun part of doing all of that again. So that's fun. We've got quite a bit more to go. All right, let's go ahead and continue making this table accessible. Let's see where we are. We are at retention, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 table rows. We've got a few set. I'm going to cut these and bring them up to the other table because right now when the table splits across pages, it created multiple tables. And then this table row at the top, I'm actually going to hold my control key and expand it out all the way so that I can come in here and select all of the container elements, and I'm actually going to artifact all of them because they're not, this is a repeated header row, we don't need it. Change tag to artifact, and then we can delete out that row. All right, now we need to build, again, this other row right here, and we needed a whole bunch, so we're just gonna start adding in our TRs. And I'm just going to right click, new tag, TR, just kind of keep it going over and over. All right, and we've got the first one is gonna be Latinas/OS, and then that second one there. So we've got table data. This is actually going to be our table header cell, again, followed by just Latinas. I need to get that out. So I'm cutting the extra stuff out and pasting it underneath so that I can still get to it. So right now I have this first table row set up. And on this TD cell, the P tag that doesn't have anything, I'm going to right click it, select properties, and we're going to add actual text of no data, and then select close. All right, let's close that table row. And now we need to set up the next one, which will include online and this 8.4%. But to do that, we need some TD tags. So I can actually hold my control key on both of these elements, right click them, and I'm going to change them to TD. And then I'm going to drag them and put them as children tags to the parent TR tag. And so I can now cut the table row and put it up top. And I now have that table row set up. So that was like sort of a trick. Now I can do the same thing with this face-to-face and this other 5.6. So I'm holding control on the P tag and the L body. I'm gonna right click them. We're gonna change them to TD tags, and then we're gonna drag them to their table row, and then we'll cut and paste the table row where it goes. So we're slowly building this table. I'm going to hold control on the L body and the P tag, right click, change tags to TD, drag them to that blank TR, Control X, Control V, and now we could delete that blank list tag. So now we've got this going. We have several more we need to do though. And right now I'm actually gonna go ahead and artifact this retention continued text, change tag to artifact, because it's not going to help us in any way. All right, next up is foster youth. I've got this blank P tag in there. Those ones can all stay. I need to cut this other content out. And same with this, the list needs to be cut out again. And then we're going to make this one an artifact and then delete that TD cell. So this table row, still has everything in it. I did not cut it all the way out. So I need to take it out of the row itself. Okay, perfect. Now we have this TR. So we've got hybrid, 12.6%, and then it goes to foster youth. And then we're gonna change the actual text on the P tag to say no data on that one that is blank. All right. Next we have online, and then we need to find that 18. We're going to right click them, select properties, change them to a TD, and then we're going to drag them to their TR parent tag. We've got face to face and 15.6. We're going to select both those tags, right click, select properties, type in table data cell, and then drag them to their parent TR home. Next up we have hybrid. I'm going to select both those tags, right click, TD, move them to their home. And so what I'm trying to show you here is like, yes, there's kind of a lot to do, but once you get in the groove of it, it goes pretty quick. Let's right click these path tags. I'm going to change them to an artifact, delete the span. All right, now we've got veterans up next. And again, I've got extra data in these because it seemed to combine them when I didn't want them to be combined. And then we have these path tags that I'm just right clicking and changing the tags to artifacts to get rid of them. All right, TR, and then here is again where we need to right click properties and update the actual text to say no data. Select close. Whoops. And then we're slowly just building this table. We've got veterans, and then we've got, okay, now I need some more blank table rows. Right click new tag, TR, right click new tag, TR, click new tag. Lots of table rows in this table. Okay. And this is all to fix this poor merge cell table. This is why you don't do it this way, because it's just super terrible to fix. And nobody wants to spend all day fixing a table when it could have just been formatted a little bit different and we would not have had these problems. But sometimes it is what it is. Okay, we're gonna keep going here. We got lots of data, but our next table row is going to be the American Indian Alaskan Natives. And I need to make sure that I'm changing this content appropriately. That TD is good. What about this one? Oh, I need to move that list out. And then the actual text needs to be updated to no data. Close. All right, and that table row is good to go. I'm gonna cut and paste it above the other one. Now we need to fix online here. I'm going to select both those tags, right click properties, change it to a TD cell, select close, and drag it into the table row. All right, slowly building. And I'm just gonna keep doing this and hopefully get through it here a little quicker. I'm gonna shut up now. I know. One more table row for this one. Right click new tag, table row. We're going to expand this one out and we're going to make these TD cells. And the way that I'm expanding the list item down, it's really so I can just delete the tag and move on with my life. But if I would have changed it to like the list item tag instead of the L body tag, then I would have another layer that I need to cut and paste. Believe it or not, I'm actually saving myself time. All right, how many rows is this? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 rows that retention needs to span. All right, so we're gonna open up our Prepare for Accessibility, our fixed reading order, right click the table and select Table Editor. We're going to right click Retention, select Table Cell Properties. Right now the header cell is set to none. We're gonna change the scope to row, and we want it to span 17 rows, and select OK. And then yes, and hopefully it's not going to crash anything. So far it feels okay though. Let's get out of that box. And really, like, what's tricky is we're going to have to find this out one way or another. All right, so now I need to go find this ESL and basic completion skills table data cell, and I'm going to move it to the first row. Because I need to set the layout of this a little differently. And with this, I need to fix a couple of the blank cells. So right now I have this table row. This is going to be our table header cell. And then it's going to span across African Americans, Latinos, multi-ethnic students. There's kind of a lot there. So let's do this first one, table header. And then the first one is going to be African Americans. And then it also has a blank cell that I need to adjust. Right click, no data, select close. You know what would be a better way to do this table too is to just have them separated as different tables. Like this would be a lot better if it was just laid out slightly different. All right, so that's that table row. The next table row needs to be English. So we need to create some of these. Right click new tag, right click new tag, TROK, right click new tag, TROK. It's kind of strange saying these. No! Do you know what I just did? I just right clicked and auto tagged the document, and it overwrote what I did. So I'm gonna try to Control Z. That doesn't work. Darn it. All right, maybe I saved the file. I'm gonna close it. I want to save the changes. Unfortunately not, but I think I did save it. So I think I'm actually okay. Oh goodness. Let's see, did I get retention done? Awesome. All right, so it actually looks like the only thing I need to redo, thank goodness, is this table here. But you know, considering how long this is taking me, I was able to save the work, but let's just see what the auto tagger can do. Maybe it can do this table for me faster. I'm gonna go to the menu button and let's do save as, and I'm just gonna give this another file name. This is gonna be v2, and let's try it. Let's do what I messed up to do. Right click, auto tag document. They really should give you like a button that says, are you sure? Because oof. All right, so far so good. Oh, I see a table, and it's got table rows. Oof, it's not really correct though. But maybe it's faster? Maybe not. At least there's more rows in there this time. So it did like fix some stuff, but I'm wondering how bad it messed up other stuff. All right, well, I'm trying to decide if this is better or worse. It's got the table rows. The thing that bothers me is that it's not picking up the table rows appropriately. So I could change this one to a table header, and it's got the TD cell, but it just needs to be African Americans and 3.3 instead of what it has there. I don't know, unless I could try to force it through, but and the way that I would do that is by taking these rows. But see, then it's gonna mess up the structure. So I think our other file is actually better somehow. Let's close this one, we'll select no, and we'll go back to our original file here. All right, let's open up the tags panel. And let's try to get this back to where we were. We've got TD, and then we need all these out of there. Let's take the list out. And there we go, table row. And then we need to add in our other table rows. Oh, I'm having deja vu. Right click new tag. We need a whole bunch of table rows. We'll just do like that many for now though. All right, and then we need English and 17.5. There's English, there's 17.5. And I'm going to select both of those, right click them, change the cell to TD, and then we're just gonna drag them into that parent TR tag. And then we're gonna rinse and repeat. We need to find math. There's math, expand the LI, right click, TD, move them to the table row. Then we need to do the last one. We've got ESL, and take that L body tag and the P tag, right click properties, change it to TD, move them to the parent TR tags, and there we go. Let's keep going. Now we have this next section we need to do. And again, we've got this blank container. We're gonna right click, change it to an artifact, select OK, delete the TD cell. And then we need to move this excess content out of the table row. But I'm starting to learn the layout here, getting faster at it. So that TR is good. I'm going to move it to the top, and then we're gonna create some blank TRs as we're running out already. And then same idea, we've got English and 4.5. And the way that it's laid out, I just select both those tags and I'm changing them to the TD cell and then moving them to the right location. Whoops, I just hit delete, but it did allow me to Control Z, thank goodness. All right, let's do the next one. We've got math and this P tag, right click, TD. We're gonna drag this one in and then drag this one in, and it's beautiful. All right, next one is ESL. This one's gonna be TD, and I used my keyboard on that one. I pressed F2 on the tag. I'll do it again. F2, and then I'm deleting the text between the brackets, and I'm just typing in what I want, which is a TD. Now, if only my Raiders could give me a TD. This week we scored 5 field goals. Anyways, let's keep going. We only have about 400 more to go. So many rows. That's okay though, because this is what I think is fun. I'm gonna expand some of these windows out, and then maybe what I can do is try to get these tags out a little faster. So I'm clicking to expand all these windows because I already know what I need to do. It's like the first cell in each one needs to be artifacted, and then I need to expand these so that I can get the data out so that I can basically build my own. And it would just be faster if I could take all these out. Though it's starting to make my head a little dizzy. All right, so table row, where was I? We've got ESL, next up is multi-ethnic students. So we're gonna take that, and then I need to find the blank. So it's these two. I'm gonna take both of those, right click them, select properties, and we're gonna change them to TDs, and we're gonna move them to this table row I already got set up. So that sort of like moves them out of one TD, but saves me a little bit of time in others. All right, now I need to Control X, and I'm moving some of this content out because really I skipped a step here. So because I changed that first row, it's coming through a little bit different, but the premise remains. So now I need to find that 6.3%, and I can actually just change it to a P tag instead of the TD cell because I already have the TD cell. And this is because I was trying to streamline a different step and it kind of threw me off. So let's right click, new tag. I think I need 3 more TRs for this little section. And what do we got? English, next up is math. So we've got math, then find the component, perfect. Right click, properties, TD, move them to the table row, and same idea. Select both of those, right click TD, okay, move them to the table row. So now we've got all these table rows being built. It's looking pretty good. Have a few more. All right, before I accidentally hit that button again, I'm gonna save it, make sure I don't mess myself up again. And we're getting through it, one at a time. So many table rows. See, this is how you become an expert in the field, is like a lot of painful repetition. And then when you actually overwrite all your work, you get to do it again because the client's already paid you to do it. Then you become Super Saiyan expert. But, you know, that's just me. All right, got a lot of cleanup here, but it's going a little better. I've got a little flow. Need more TRs. And then I can expand these out. Right click, TD. See, I'm flying now. Click TD, delete the list tag. All right, next up we've got, hey, we're almost done with this part of it. Yay. All right, so this table row contains that and that. Let's see. We want this one out, and then we want this one out. So table row, then we need one more table row. Right click, new tag, expand the list item out, make these TDs, select close, and drag them to their home and delete the list tag. Let's save the file because now we're into a new part. Oh, we also need to set the scope of this one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 rows that we need to set the scope span. Prepare for accessibility, fix reading order, right click, table editor. We're gonna select the top cell that we can. Right click it, select table cell properties, and wait a second. Hang on, something's being weird. It might help if I move. Oh, I never made it a table header cell. Now it is. Okay, I'm gonna take all these rows and we're gonna put them in the table above it. Control X, because this is gonna make it to where we have a singular table. There we go. All right, now we're gonna do that again. Let's do all tools, prepare for accessibility, fix reading order, right click the table, select table editor. Uh-oh, let's save it. Let's try it again. Uh-oh. Oh no, what did we do? Table row, table header. Maybe I just need to close the file and reopen it. Hopefully that's all I need to do. All right, let's open up prepare for accessibility, fix reading order, right click the table, table editor. What? Oh no. Adobe Acrobat is saying there's an unknown table structure encountered. See, this is why you don't do these complex tables. This is consuming all of my time trying to fix this stinking table. All right, well, let's just control exit and I guess we can put it back in here. Let's try this again. Fix reading order. Oh my gosh. This table is gonna be the death of me. All right, well, this is the way that it works sometimes. So it's giving me structural problems. So we're gonna do another thing. This is part of why I do these videos, right? So we can go through the pain and suffering together. I think I'm gonna take this over to Word. If I can get this table back into Word and reformat it a little bit so these are all individual lines, I think it's gonna help a lot. So let's try that. We're gonna go to the menu button and we're gonna export this PDF over to Microsoft Word. All right, we've now got the Word document and we've now got these tables. Oh look, they even copied in as multiple tables in here. So yeah, we're just gonna redo this table because it's a freaking nightmare. All right, we're gonna do insert table. What do we got? 3 columns and like a bajillion 500 million rows. And then we're gonna type it in, success indicator. And then let's copy this one because that's a lot of big words. Disproportionately impacted groups and percentage point gap thingy mabob. And we can take the style, copy it for that cell. All right, and then what do we got? This needs to be access. And then we need to take these 3 items and paste them on those 3 rows. These 3 percentage signs, paste them on these 3 rows. And then we've got retention. And so, yeah, who knew that this was gonna be faster? Probably should have done this to begin with, but here we are. Let's add some more table rows before I paste. We're gonna make the table super big first, and then we'll fix it. All right, I think that's too many. Latinos, African Americans. Okay, I think it added that too many times. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 8, perfect. We could take these data points and we could copy them up. All right, and then this one we could put no data. Really, it's a merge cell though, but it's gonna really throw us off if I remove that. without completely reformatting. All right, what's next? Success. Oh, retention continued. All right, we've got foster youth. Oh, there's a whole bunch. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that means we need to have that many more in there. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Paste. All right. And then we can take all those numbers and then I'm going to paste them up. That way I know which one doesn't have a cell, which is foster youth. And there we go. Wait, something didn't paste there right. Or did it? Nope, not quite. Let's try that again, shall we? Now. Okay, perfect. The only thing is that bottom one. Face-to-face is 2.9%. What about hybrid? 3.1%? All right, I messed something up here, and it's getting hard to look at it. All right, let's try this again. Retention. Where's retention? All right, we got down to Latinos. Retention, Latinos, face-to-face, hybrid. All right, next up is going to be foster youth, and then 3. And then we've got veterans, and 2. And then we've got Native Americans, and just 1 online, 35%. All right, here we go. Whites, hybrid. There we go. Okay, I fixed the data. Now we have, oh wait, we have more. Oh no, now this is ESL. All right, so now we've got the next data cell. So by rebuilding this, I do think that it's gonna be a lot better. All right, now we can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 rows. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm trying to add in all these rows. Things I do for accessible tables, you know. Students with disabilities. Nope, not enough. I have to undo. I think I needed a few more. All right, now we'll copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I lost count. I need 23. Students with disabilities, and I'm just comparing here. English, math, men, English. Perfect. All right, now I can take all the numbers, and in theory, should be able to just copy those from the top over here by ESL as well. Paste. All right, that looks like it went over appropriately. What else do we got? I need to delete some of this from, it's like confusing me. All right, next up we've got degree and certificate completion. All these rows, you know. All right, we're getting closer to finishing this. Let's see, we have the ESL basic skills. Now we're down to degree and certificate completion. Let's copy that, paste it in. Okay, that actually put it into 2 fields. I don't want that. I just want the 1 field, completion, and then we will backspace out the other one. And then in here we have, you know, multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something, however many. We're just gonna select the top cell. Oh, no, we're not. And paste these in. Interesting. So this one seems to be entered in even more poorly. So what we're gonna do is just retype Pacific Islanders degree. I'm adding some extra spaces in here so I can get this table to where I can view it a little bit better. Certificate. African Americans. Degree. Latinas. S. Degree. Let's just see if I can paste this in. I don't know that I'll be able to. Nope, it is all funky. All right, so there's nothing for that one. Degree will be minus 12.8%. Certificate will be minus 3.8%. Oh, but these aren't list items. See, that's another thing. Like, why are these entered that way? We'll do copy paste. 7.6%, and 3.8. And then I'm gonna go up here and copy the formatting on one of these cells and paste it for these others. Okay, so that one's done. Let's keep going. Now we need to do this next one. Degree, and oh, this is actually continued. So never mind, we just need students with disabilities. And then degree, and this one will be minus 7.3%. Perfect. And then we have transfer. This is where we need more table rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. And this one, I bet it'll allow me to just copy down. Yep, perfect. It's a Christmas miracle. We are just about done with this. Let's right click and delete this row. Now, I'm not going to spend any more time formatting this because really I just wanted to get the table accessible. And then I'm going to delete this other stuff. What in the world happened with that content? So somehow this is much longer, and whatever these things were, they're all messed up here. So I'm going to cut them. This is why I don't like using these objects on a page like this, because they just create problems. All right, we'll fix that in a second though. Let's check out our table. What is this? Why is it missing degree? I gotta open up the original file real quick because there's something under above degree and certificates, English, 2.6%. Oh, the label's just on the wrong data cell. Okay, so now what we need to do is make this table accessible. Let's select the table, go to table design. We can apply a design if we want or not. If we select table layout, this is where we can adjust the height and the width of the cell, of the margins. They seem pretty locked in right now though. All right, so you could set up the table you want, and then I'm going to merge these rows where they need to be, or merge the rows. And this is gonna help, hopefully, when we take it over into PDF, because now all of the table will be set up appropriately. So I'm selecting all of the cells, right clicking them, select merge cells, and this is like combining all of those rows for us. And hopefully this should come over appropriately. Next, under table design, so we have header row and first column. That's good, that's what we want. We want this to be a header cell. Okay, and it looks a little funky, but that's because I'm not spending the time to adjust all of these rows. And these things keep moving around. Let me create a new page there. I'm gonna cut and paste this one. All right, now I need to review the PDF again because I don't understand. All right, we've got orange, blue, yellow, green, red. Orange, blue, yellow, green, red. All right, so this is like a lot of work, right? We're going to just leave that as is for now. And then let me go back to the PDF. I'm just curious how these bullets are inlaid. Yeah, these are all centered and kind of funky, but it is what it is. All right, these tables, let's go to table layout, table design, header. Why are all of these marked? We need the header row and first column. We don't need the last column though. Matter of fact, I don't even think we need first column. We just need the header row. And then it has a total row, I guess. Same with these. We're gonna deselect all of this because it's not helpful to have all of these selected. And all right, this looks fine now. Okay, so we kind of had to change the way it looked just a smidgen, but now when we go to Acrobat, create PDF, select OK, this one's gonna be V3. So we had a detour because that table was so challenging and I wanted to see if there was a faster method. And sometimes it's easier to go to Microsoft Word. This is probably gonna be the longest episode I've ever done, but I think it's worth it to see the workflow. This is a little worrisome of how long it's taking to convert the file over, so hopefully it's gonna be intact. All right, let's check it out. Let's go to tags. All right, it's a little funky, but what I care about right now are the table rows. And look, they're actually in here appropriate. That's amazing. So I think our table is now fixed, but you could see why like having a structure is so important. So now we need to go through and fix these other elements, but that table was really the beast that we were trying to slay. So now we can take it from the top, I guess. We've got blank p tags. I mean, I guess I could have fixed some of this in the Word document, but here we are. Change those tags to artifact. We can delete these p tags out. We've got an art tag here. That really should be the H1. So I'm going to artifact this path tag and then make this a heading level 1. We'll make this a heading level 2. P tag, table tag. We've got some blank P tags in here that we're gonna try to get out. Better not get too far ahead of myself here. Going to select all of these blank container elements and the path of that art tag. Right click, change tag to artifact, select OK. Now we've got a bunch of P tags that we can delete out of here. And then, yeah, so the text is in here, but so are the figure tags. So I'm just going to keep expanding these. The reading order is a little bit off too, but let's get these paths out first and the empty containers. Right click, change tag to artifact, select OK. Now we can delete them. And we could actually take these P tags out of the art tags. Paste them all in one spot. The reading order is a little off, but we can delete these blank tags out. All right, so on page 5 to page 6. So now we just need to adjust the reading order. So the orange one needs to be first, followed by blue, followed by yellow, followed by green, red. Perfect. Then we've got a P tag, a list element, a P tag. I'm going to combine a couple of those P tags, and then we have some content that fell off the list. So I am adding it, or I'm cutting and pasting the container element. You can see it right here, the bottom, like understand students. This section got cut off from the list item, but I need to move it. So I'm going to cut and paste it inside of the L body container elements. Blank P tags need to be right clicked, artifacted, delete. Now in theory, these could also possibly be headings because they're asking questions, but I'm not going to get into that right now. We're just going to try to fix this as it has been such a long journey. Change tag to artifact. But, you know, you could in theory, see the way they blended it, there's like bold text here. That tells me it should be a heading instead of part of this like P tag. But that's not really my decision to make. So I'm just trying to fix the current tag structure. All right, now we're down to the tables. I see some blank P tags that I'm first trying to address just because they're right here. Going to expand them all. Hold my control key, right click, change tag to artifact, select OK. And we could delete the blank P tags. And we go up a little bit so we can find our bearings. All right, table. We've got table row with table headers. Why is amount budgeted not there? That is very strange. Well, we're going to right click, new tag, create table header, and we're gonna add it in there. It's very strange. All right, there we go. Table row, seems fine. P tag, this is gonna be changed to a heading level 2. All right, this one has amount budgeted in it. That's good. So does that table and that table. Maybe I did something to get rid of it on accident. H2. All right. Got a blank P tag here. We'll change the conclusion to H2. Let's delete out that P tag, but I just want to see if there's more. There was one more. Right click, change tag to artifact, select OK. P tag. All right. And then there's a hyperlink in there with the link object reference, but that is set up appropriately. Let's go ahead and save the file. And now the next step in the accessibility guide method is to run the accessibility checker built into Adobe Acrobat. To do that, I'm going to select prepare for accessibility, then check for accessibility, select start checking. And this brings us to tab order failed. We're going to right click it and select fix. What about our tables? Uh-oh, regularity. Right click, let's show in tags panel. Why is that cell just missing? This minus 16% is missing. So I'm gonna create a TD cell. We will select it. Randomly, part of this content got left off. Create tag from selection. All right, that one's better. I guess I need to walk the rest of these. I failed my own step, which is walking the tags tree. This problem tends to occur on the page break. Okay, it worked for that one. Let's see if it happens again, where the data is missing. All right, let's save it, and let's see if this fixed regularity for that one. So how many we have in there? 5 failures. Let's check it again. Did I ever tell you how much I hate tables? What doesn't make sense to me is we set the span of all of these. So let's see if we can get in here and fix them. Maybe it didn't set the span. So this one should be 3 rows, table cell properties. It did not set the row span. Retention's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 row span. How interesting that it did not carry over from Word, but I guess this is a good thing here, though it does get buggy. Oh no, see, there is a problem. All right, well, it could be that, yeah, this is a great example as to why you don't want to set up your tables with spanning content like that. Because ultimately what's happening is it's literally crashing Acrobat for me to make the fix, because it doesn't know how to apply a row span for 25 rows that spans multiple pages. It's like too complex for Adobe Acrobat, which means in all likelihood, we're gonna get a failing pack report here regardless. So this is my V3, I saved the file. Let's just see what happens for PDF UA. We're gonna have problems though. Yeah, table regularity. This is fine, but I can't set it appropriately because of the span. So it starts on page 2, which tells me that what I did actually worked, because the irregular table row error is now coming up on page 2. But since I've basically crashed Acrobat, there's nothing I can do to really fix it. So it did allow me to set this first one, because the next error is right here on this ESL one. So let's try it again. Fixed reading order, right click, table editor, unknown structure, encounter. Yeah, so it's not gonna let me fix this error now. Basically what I have to do is I need to set the row scope on ESL and basic skills and degree and certificate completion and transfer, but for some reason now Acrobat is giving me trouble. And right click, table editor. I can't edit the table editor. So I guess for now we're gonna have to skip past this, but this is a perfect example as to why we don't want to do that, basically. All right, so I guess what I would do to fix it at this point is I would need to go back to the drawing board, and I'd want to set up this table in a way that would actually be accessible and not have this level of complexity that exists in here. All right, now we did make the rest of the document accessible. Let's just review the pack tool and see what other areas we have in here, because there's not a whole lot we can do for that table unless I go back to the drawing board, which I can, but you know, I have other videos that can show you how to make tables accessible. I'm gonna have to deconstruct it and rebuild them one at a time, and that's gonna solve all of those problems. Alternate descriptions missing for annotations. This is a very quick error to fix. And then we have our WCAG errors. Let's see, text alternatives, adaptable info relationships. Yeah, table regularity. And then the table header cell. So after we hopefully would be able to apply the span correctly on these, we would then need to come through and set the scope of our other tables, but I don't think it's gonna allow me to do this because I seem to have crashed it. Let's do fixed reading order, right click the table, table editor. All right, it does let me take this one. So basically I could take my header cells, right click them, select table cell properties, header cell, set to column, perfect. And then we need to do the next one. Right click, table editor. Need to make sure that these are properly set, and they are. So it really was my other one. Yeah, those are all set, but I can't fix this one because it crashes. Let's try it. Table editor, and right click, table editor. Nope. All right, so I can't fix this table. Oh joy. Okay, so we're gonna stop there for making this PDF accessible. Now this was just like a simple 9-page document, but you can tell by the structural layout of it that it created a very complex task for me to make that table accessible. Now I tried, and I could probably keep trying to work it, and I'm sure there's some advanced tools I can use to get that scope to forcefully set it with some other in-depth settings. But what I would like all of you to take away from this video is how a complicated table can just derail your entire remediation process, especially if you start getting buggy attributes like I did in this video. So all in all, I would give this document an accessibility guide score of 3 out of 10. There did appear to be some work that was done in the original Word document, but it seems like the creator definitely did not fully understand how to make tables accessible, which is why we had so many problems in this layout. There's a couple other spots that could be improved, like the section with the questions and the list items that were centered in the page. I think I would rather break those up as heading sections, but all in all, the document wasn't that bad other than the table. If you want to deep dive into learning how to make Word documents or PDF documents accessible, you can join the Accessibility Guide community, where we have multiple self-paced courses and direct access to yours truly. And as always, I could be your champion for inclusion. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.